course, what makes breakfast in bed so special is you're lying down and eating bacon, the most beautiful thing on earth. Bacon's the best. Even the frying of bacon sounds like applause. It's like, ah, yay, bacon. You know how good bacon is to improve other food. They wrap it in bacon. If it weren't for bacon, we wouldn't even know what a water chestnut is. Thank you, bacon. Sincerely, Water Chestnut III. And those bits of bacon like the fairy dust of the food community. You don't want this baked potato? Bring. Now it's your favorite part of the meal. Not interested in a salad? Bippity boppity bacon. I just turned it into an entree. But once you put bacon in a salad, it's no longer a salad. It just becomes a game of find the bacon and the lettuce. It's like you're panning for gold. Eureka! Bacon! Not many ways to prepare bacon. You can either fry it or get botulism. It's amazing the shrinkage that occurs. You start with a pound, you end up with a bookmark. Really, the only bad part about bacon is it makes you thirsty for more bacon. I never feel like I get enough bacon. At breakfast, it's like they're rationing it. Here's your 2 strips of bacon. I want more. More bacon. Whenever you're at a brunch buffet and you see that big metal tray filled with 4,000 pieces of bacon, don't you almost expect a rainbow to be coming out of it? I thought it. I found the source of all bacon. That bacon tray is always at the end of the buffet. You regret all the stuff on your plate. What am I doing with all this worthless fruit? I should have waited. If I had known you were here, I would have waited. I would eat only you bacon. But you can't eat only bacon because it's terrible for you. You know, bacon's bad when a healthier choice is a donut. Bacon's like the opposite of medicines. Like, take that Lipitor on bacon. We'd know bacon is bad for us for thousands of years. It's literally a restriction on entering certain religion. Rules, no killing, no cheating on your wife, no bacon. What was that last one? No bacon. I'm in the wrong line. Is there a bacon line around here? How many bacon jokes is this guy gonna do? I mean, I like bacon, but come on. The pig is an amazing animal. You feed a pig an apple, it makes bacon. I find that impressive. Let's see Michael Phelps do that, huh? The pig is turning an apple, essentially garbage, into bacon. That's magic, or the most successful recycling program ever. Really, the pig is man's best friend. I love dogs, but pigs would be good companions, and then when they die, you could have a barbecue. Sorry, your pig died. Can I come over for breakfast? Let's have some bacon. Bacon is that good. I bet if you put bits of bacon on a strip of bacon, you could travel back in time. It's like a tasty vortex. It'd be kind of redundant for me because I would just travel back to when I was eating bacon. Yeah, bacon to bacon time-space continuum. That's a nerdy-ass bacon joke. Fatback, supposedly fatback's like bacon on steroids. Never tried fatback, probably because it's called fatback. I don't know which word creeps me out more, fat or back. Why don't they just throw in hairy while they're at it? There's some delicious hairy fatback. That reminds me, your uncle called. That's gotta be the end of the bacon jokes. I even like the name Bacon. You can't tell me the success of Kevin Bacon isn't somehow tied to his name. You're not going out to see a Kevin hot dog movie. Who's in this movie? Kevin Bacon? Sounds good. Bacon. I like meat, I do. But you know who seems to be really obsessed with meat are vegetarians. For people that don't like meat, they seem to eat a lot of vegetables that are mashed up and shaped to look like meat. I find meat repulsive. I'll have a veggie burger with fake bacon, and can you serve it to me dressed like a cow? I don't like meat. I just like to call meat late at night and hang out. Let's drive by Meat's house. Does Meat ever ask about me? I don't care. I ain't missing you at all. Missing you. Never see that the other way. I will have the steak, and can you make it taste like tofu? My wife refuses to eat meat because she feels it's cruel to animals, which, interestingly enough, is the same reason why I don't eat vegetables. I'm a vegetable rights activist. Except for the potato, they can't feel anything. I do love animals. I've never looked at a cow and thought I want to eat that. But once that cow is slaughtered, drained of all its blood, chopped up, and put on a grill, I get hungry. Cow. Definitely helps if it doesn't look like an animal. This ham sandwich doesn't look like a pig to me. But ribs, there's no getting around ribs. Because they're ribs. It's amazing how casually we order, I will have the baby back ribs. And can you wheel it out in a stroller? I'm going to start with the baby chicken legs. I'm going to have an all-baby meal. Hey, buddy, I used to be a baby. How do you eat ribs without looking like a caveman anyway? Excuse me while I tear the flesh from this bone. I need the energy for when I club you later on. I like all kinds of meat, even bologna. I knew he was white trash. I don't even know if bologna is a meat. I don't think meat's supposed to catch on fire like that. What's interesting about bologna is not just a meat, it's an insult. It's a bunch of baloney. You're full of baloney. It kind of implies baloney makes you lie. I eat baloney all the time. Or maybe I don't. Maybe that's just the baloney talk. Have you seen the bologna that has the olives in it? Who's that for? I like my bologna like a martini. With an olive. I'll have the bologna sandwich dirty. Everything about baloney's silly. Who decided on the pronunciation of the word baloney? Alright, how do you want to pronounce this word? Baloney. I don't know if you saw, there's a G in the word. Althino G, baloney. Okay, well the word does end with an A. We're all with baloney. Trust me, I came up with Colonel. You ever been reading and come across the word colonial like colonial? Someone important. This reading's hard. Where's my TV? Wow, you look good. But you know what would make you look even better? Hitting the subscribe button. If it's there, just hit it. Hey everyone, this is a compilation of the best Catholic jokes I've come up with over my career. I'm sure I'll get some pretty interesting comments. I always do when I post anything about religion, but these are the best jokes about being Catholic, Catholics, and the whole Catholic experience. If you enjoy, please hit subscribe. I'll be posting a new video every day during the pandemic, and I hope you're hanging in there. I don't know much about the Bible myself. I haven't read it because I don't have to, because I'm Catholic. Oh, he's going to hell. Not a lot of Catholics have read the Bible. It's a different perspective on rules for Catholics, not like other religions. Hindus are not supposed to eat meat. They don't eat meat. Catholics only eat fish on Fridays. Unless you forget. Do what the hell you want. We'll see you at Easter. My wife's really Catholic. She's like a Shiite Catholic. She's always worried about Diablo. So I joke around and I'll call her up. Who is this? And I'll just go, the devil. She brings me to church every Sunday. If you've never been to a Catholic Mass, that is the longest experience of your life. Makes you look forward to going to the DMV. Times it seems like they're dragging church out on purpose. I'm in already. Let's wrap it up. I got some sinning to do. There's too much standing involved in church. Can't I lie down and worship? Well, I mean the hot pocket. God pocket. I mostly daydream in church. I always have that introspective look on my face like, Putting it inside, I'm like, did I go to Wendy's twice yesterday? Not a good calf. I don't even feel comfortable when someone's praying next to me in church. I'm like, can you do that outside? I'm trying to check out some of the ladies in the... I do have the dirtiest stunts in church, and I was like, peace be with you, and an extra piece for you. You deserve it. My wife always wants me to go to confession. Don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't enjoy lying to a holy man. I just don't know how honest people are being in there. They go in there for like a minute and a half. Yeah, I lied, I double parked. Can we wrap this up? I'm meeting a hooker. Yeah, grazie Pakai. Seems like so much at church is memorization. I have a horrible memory. I was like, our Father who art in heaven without the approved written consent of Major League Baseball. I think religion's fascinating. You know, Adam and Eve kicked out of paradise for eating an apple. An apple. Would you ever been tempted by an apple? I've been like, Curver and Caramel, come back to me. Hey, you got a cake back there? I love cake. I know religion jokes make some people uncomfortable, and I call them sinners. My wife is very Catholic. If you've never been to a Catholic Mass, it's still going on. It never really ends. They just loop it around. I can never get my wife to leave when church is over, since I was like, why don't we stay and talk to the weirdest people here? She doesn't consider me a real Catholic because I don't go to church or follow any of the church teachings, but, you know, occasionally I'll root for Notre Dame. So I'm Catholic. I think it's interesting how Catholics and Protestants didn't get along. How did that play out? Yeah, you see those people over there with the almost identical beliefs as mine? I want to kill them. Because my God's all about love. Big families are like waterbed stores. They used to be everywhere, and now they're just weird. Some people think it's religious, so like, you have all those kids for religious reasons. That's not how it works. If anything, you have 4 or 5 kids, and then you become religious. Because once you lose a kid at the mall, you know, atheist or not, you start talking to God right away. Hey, God, I haven't talked in a while, probably since finals in high school. Anyway, if you could help me find my son, I promise I'll change my life. I'll stop going to Wendy's. Oh, there he is. Never mind, God. Well, we're off to Wendy's. Do. Talk to you when I get cancer. Do. Because that's how it works, right? We really only reach out when we have a crisis. That's got to be annoying for God. It's got to be like, well. Someone gets the big C and they turn into Billy Graham all of a sudden. I seem to remember when you were in college, I didn't exist. But now you're Chetty Cathy. A joke that combines cancer and religion, always a crowd pleaser. But we all aspire to be forgiving. Pope John Paul II forgave the guy who tried to assassinate him. I mean, granted, he was the Pope. He couldn't be like, let's torture this beast. He kind of had to forgive him, but Pope John Paul II went to the guy's jail cell and forgave him. But then he laughed. It's not like then he had lived with the guy. Like if the Pope lived with the guy, would have seen how long that forgiveness would have lasted. Pope, your turn to do the dishes. Didn't you shoot me? I think it's always your turn to do the dishes. Bless you, my son. Pope, that's a tough job. Anyone Pope here? Nah. Pope's a tough job. You know it's tough because the last one quit. It's like, done, I'm out of here. Remember in the Vatican, it's like, you're supposed to speak for God until you die. And the Pope is like, God told me to quit. And eat more cheese. Our new Pope, Pope Francis, calls people on the phone. I don't know why you'd ever believe it's the Pope. Hello, it's the Pope. Oh, can you hold on? I have Spider-Man on the other line. I'm no saint, but nobody even goes for saint today, right? There's no saints. Nobody's like, you know what, I'm thinking of, I'm either going to go graphic design or saint. Nobody goes for it because, well, there are Latter-day Saints. There's Mormons. I love the Mormons. I don't know what Latter-day means. Maybe that means they're like deviant until 3 p.m. I'm like, well, kids are coming home. Let's get out of these S&M outfits, honey. Back and tacky. I'm talking about the traditional Catholic sense of a saint. Nobody goes for saint anymore because it's too hard. To be considered a Catholic saint, you have to perform 2 miracles. I don't know why it's 2. It's not like half of us would be like, you know, if it was 1, I'd go for it. Yeah, because I could do that thing with my elbow. It's not like 1 miracle's not impressive. You're never in a job interview unless your special skills, walk on water, or Microsoft Word. Tell me about the Microsoft Word. Actually, where I live in New York City is where the soon-to-be first African-American saint is buried. His name was Pierre Toussaint, and he was a hairdresser. I didn't even know you could be a hairdresser and a saint. But he apparently got done cutting people's hair, and they were like, this is a miracle. Honey, he was a great man, and he'll be a saint. He'll probably be the patron saint of hairdressers. You know, because saints, they're in charge of things. Like, you're in charge of hairdressers. You're in charge of a lost object. St. Patrick, you're in charge of Ireland. St. Patrick, patron saint of Ireland. Every March 17th, we honor St. Patrick by getting wasted. What? But we don't know. We don't know. St. Patrick could be up in heaven going, I didn't even drink. What are these people doing? I like their color blue. I made that very clear. Can someone remind God I'm from Italy? I don't want to rock the boat here, but these Irish are degenerates. Because they don't get to choose what they're the patron saint of, right? Like Saint Bonaventure, patron saint of bowel issues. I'm not making that up. Bowel issues. Talk about a promotion you don't want. Bonaventure's in heaven. St. Peter comes and goes, Bonaventure, you're a saint. Bonaventure's like, yes, yes. Am I the patron saint of scholars? Not scholars. Well, what am I the patron saint of? Bowel issues. Bowel issues? Yeah, you know when someone's getting a colonoscopy or say they're sitting on the toilet with IBS or explosive diarrhea. They're praying to God. Well, we don't want them praying directly to God. Yeah. So you would be like a conduit. That way God's not talking to someone who's doing number 2. Okay. Of course I'm talking about Catholic saints because I'm Catholic. I'm not a good Catholic. Like if there was a test for Catholics, I would fail. But then again, most Catholics would fail, which is probably why there's not a test. But since I'm Catholic and I'm a comedian, I was asked to open for the Pope when he visited America, and before you're impressed, it didn't go well. Like I opened for the Pope, but the Pope wasn't sitting there like, ha, 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 ha. I don't know how the Pope laughs, hopefully not like Jabba the Hutt. But I did 15 minutes of stand-up, and then the Pope-mobile drove into this outdoor amphitheater space. I opened for an automobile. And that's not even the first time I've opened for a car. I had to cut my honeymoon short so that I could perform at the Iowa State Fair, where I opened for Kyle Busch's NASCAR. Kyle Busch wasn't there, just his car. I did 15 minutes of stand-up, and then some stagehands pushed his number 18 on the stage, and audience members came up and got pictures with the car. The car did better. But I did open for the Pope-mobile in Philadelphia. Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, and if you've been there, you know they mean that sarcastically. I love Philly, but saying Philadelphia is the city of brotherly love is a little bit like saying Syria, a place for peace. But I love Philly. I love the whole Northeast. I'm from the Midwest, but I choose to live in the Northeast because I love the energy and I love the fact that everyone in the Northeast is angry for absolutely no reason at all. They're furious. From Philadelphia to Boston. Pissed off. Right? That whole Acela line. I call it the corridor of hate. But that is why we are the United States. Think of those initial 13 colonies, like in Virginia, those guys, like Jefferson and Madison, those guys were like the philosophers, were like, we're born with these inalienable rights, we should have representation. But it was the people in the Northeast and Boston that were like, screw it, dump out the tea and the have it. Those English are dicks. They don't say that before hospital. Don't you wish you were there when the Bostonians explained to the Virginians, yeah, we listened to all that stuff you said, so we started a war with England. The greatest superpower on the planet. The Virginians were like, what? We were talking hypothetically. Even Patrick Henry was like, when I said, give me liberty or give me death, I didn't mean actual death. I was talking like death by chocolate death. But so I was in Philadelphia for the event at the sound check, and they had constructed this huge amphitheater next to the Ben Franklin Parkway, which is a highway, and the amphitheater was empty, and I was up there during the sound check, and I looked on the highway, and it was already filled with 1 million people, and I looked at those people and I thought, wow, 1 million people that don't want to see me do stand-up comedy. Because they were all there to see the Pope, and not one of those 1 million people was thinking, I hope the Pope has a comedian open for him. But I shouldn't have been surprised. In the weeks leading up to the event, through all these interviews, they're like, you're opening for the Pope. There's going to be millions of people there. Are you nervous? Are you going to prepare? And I'm like, I'm definitely nervous. I'm definitely going to prepare. Anyway, I didn't prepare. So I was on stage at the sound check looking at those 1 million people, and I thought, I got to come up with some Philadelphia jokes. But what do I know about Philadelphia? I know cheesesteaks, Liberty Bell. And I just watched this ESPN 30 for 30 documentary about Eagles fans in 1968 throwing snowballs at someone dressed like Santa Claus. That's all I knew. So I went off and I tried to think of some Philadelphia jokes. Before you knew it, the event started and I was introduced and I walked out and the amphitheater was still empty. Because the Pope wasn't there and it was a Catholic event, so everyone was at the bar. So I was there. All right, I guess I'm just going to do my show for no one. So I go, it's good to be here in Philadelphia. And I heard this roar behind me. Ah. And it was all the people on the highway. And I was like, all right, I'll play to them. I was like, Philadelphia loves the Pope. Ah. And I was like, not that I was worried, but you guys weren't that nice to Santa. Nothing. Silence. And then I heard something that sounded like booing. Because it was booing. It wasn't everyone, it was like 10%, so 100,000 people. Booing my Santa joke before they saw their religious leader who was going to talk to them about mercy. So I did what anyone would do when they're being booed. I acted like I wasn't being booed. I did some jokes about being lazy and food, and I kind of got the crowd back. And I got off stage, disaster averted, and I pulled out my phone and I started checking Twitter and I saw the most angry, hateful tweets I've ever seen. How dare you bring up the Santa incident? Never come back to Philly. I wish I could punch you. Bring up the Santa incident in Philly is like bring up the Holocaust in Germany. That was an actual tweet. Of course, the difference being that the Holocaust happened and Santa has never existed. At that moment, there was a tap on my shoulder and it was one of the organizers and they're like, do you want to meet the Pope? And I was like, I'm good. I was like, yeah, of course I'd love to meet the Pope. So I was put in this room with some of the other performers and we were lined up and the Pope came in and he started greeting people and I noticed people that the Pope was meeting, they were saying something to the Pope and I didn't know what I was going to say to the Pope. And before you knew it, the Pope was right in front of me and I just said, don't bring up the Santa incident. And the Pope He didn't say anything. He just gave me a look of like, dude, I would never do that. This is Philadelphia. They'd crucify me. Of course, a Catholic country here, in Valencia, I saw the Holy Grail. Well, maybe, right? It's possibly the cup that Jesus drank from at the Last Supper, but probably not. And there are supposedly there's two other cups that are possibly cups that Jesus drank from at the Last Supper, but probably not. In fact, I have a cup at home that Jesus possibly drank from, but probably not. It's a sippy cup, so it was probably like baby Jesus. This guy's a jerk. He's just rude. Pope, that's a weird job, huh? Anyone Pope here? Pope never goes out. Wouldn't have been weird to go to high school with the Pope. Somebody did. Somebody sit at home watching TV in Poland. They see the Pope. They think, that guy was a jerk. He was so mean to me, and now he's Pope. I got a swirly from the Pope. I think it'd be great if you had a kid that ended up being Pope. That would be the ultimate bragging rights. Oh, your son's a doctor? Yeah, ours is Pope. That's okay for him. Oh, they have a house. He has his own city. It's in Europe. You think when the Pope was a little kid, he fantasized about eventually becoming Pope? We might have about being a professional athlete. Was he 8 years old in his backyard going, there he is, the leader of all the Catholics. I was raised Catholic. My dad used to always volunteer me for the reading in church. I'd be 6 years old. He'd be like, you'll be doing the reading. I'd be like, Christ. Never have my glasses, so I wouldn't be able to read. I'd be like, a letter from Peter to the postage post. Somebody kill me. I'd rather go to hell than read up here. Church, you're reading from the Bible so you can make something up. You can get the first line and then ad-lib. No. Letter from Peter to the apostles. Dear apostles. How was your weekend? Sure is hot here. Tell Jesus, hey. This is the word of the Lord. From a very big family, a very large family, 9 parents. Anyone else? I'm actually one of 6 kids Catholic. You ever know those people from big Catholic families? They always throw that Catholic after the number. 6 kids Catholic. 6 kids Catholic. If you didn't hear the Catholic where you think 6 kids, his mother really likes sex. Oh, she was Catholic. I'm the youngest, too, and when you're the youngest of a big family, people are always like, you're the baby, you're spoiled. The fact, man, when you're the youngest of a big family, by the time you're a teenager, your parents are insane. They're like, hey, I'm going roller skate. You're not going roller skating, you'll end up pregnant like your sister. Why don't you smoke pot and become a lawyer? Parents get burned out in big families. You can even see it in the naming of children. It's always like the first kid, you were named after grandma. The 7th kid, you were named after a sandwich hike. I love that. Now get your brother Ruben. Hello? What are you doing here? Me? What am I doing here? Yes. Why are you at a church rectory? I'm Catholic. Fairly. My wife made me come. Jeannie. Yes. I have a personal relationship with her. Believe me, I've heard all about it. But, you and I, we could hang out sometime if you want it. Great. How about Sunday morning? Nah, morning. But I'm more of an afternoon guy. So, afternoon then. Well, how early in the afternoon? Because I am, I'll get up, I'll make pancakes. I'll make eggs and the kids won't even eat them. Yeah. but and then I'm full, so I'll take a nap. Hi, thanks for watching. Hit subscribe if you want. If you want to see more stand-up, I have more stand-up, or if you want to see an original show, like Let's Get Cooking or the Mike and Pat Show, that's available on my channel. But also, just know that I'll be posting a new video every day during this pandemic or until the world ends. Please hit subscribe and turn on your alert or notification button. Of course, poutine, oh my gosh, poutine. At this point, are there any Canadian restaurants that don't serve poutine? I picked one up at, what was it? It was a Booster Juice. Yes. It's like, yeah, I had the kale poutine smoothie. It was delicious. Yeah. Poutine. I know some of you pronounce it poutine, but you're still saying poo. I love poutine, and I eat unhealthy, and some would say I built a career out of eating unhealthy. But you know, poutine, it's a little irresponsible. I mean, after all, I don't want to die. It's almost like someone was just trying to make French fries more unhealthy. Well, what if we cover in everything that causes heart disease? Let's do it. We have free health care. In Edmonton, I had pierogi poutine. Yeah, I had to sign a waiver and everything. It's the first food I had to provide emergency contact for. It was delicious, but do we need pierogi poutine? Has anyone ever eaten poutine and be like, you know what this needs? Carbs. Poutine? It's fascinating. It started in Quebec, right? And now it's everywhere in Canada. But you know, there was probably a part of Canada that was like, wait a minute, we're as a country, we're going with the French fry thing. Not salmon or beaver tail. And I guess that's better than syrup. Do you know that poutine in French means Vladimir Putin? I'm just saying. I love how poutine is different in different provinces. Like, you know, or in Ottawa, there's the squeaky cheese that goes on the poutine, right? There's the squeaky cheese. The first time I performed in Ottawa, it was in April during a poutine fest. And I learned later on it was the second poutine fest of the year. Which means sometime in January or February, someone was at a poutine fest and they were like, why don't we do this next month? Like if it happens every month, that's not a festival. That's a habit. Last time I was in Ottawa, it was during Winterlude. Winterlude, you know, of course, it's an outdoor festival in February. Okay. Yeah. You know, in America, when there's horrible weather, we cancel events. Yeah. You guys kind of plan around them. Hey, you know, it's the coldest month of the year. What if we had a party outside? Why would we do that? It could be like an interlude between the poutine fests. I have to admit, I'm a little disappointed by the number of Tim Hortons in town. There's some, but you go to some cities in Canada, and the number of Tim Hortons is uncomfortable. Like you drive by the fifth one, and you're like, is this a Tim Hortons theme park? Are we sure they're only selling coffee and donuts? Canadians, you guys are always like, that's our Dunkin' Donuts. That's our Dunkin' Donut. Yeah, in America, we don't have Dunkin' Donuts on every block. Tim Hortons is like America's stop sign. Now I've seen some Tim Hortons in America, and whenever I see a Tim Hortons in America, I always have the same thought. Don't force your culture on us. Yeah. But you wouldn't know how that feels. Last week I went to a Canadian Tire store. I don't want to brag. I was kind of surprised to find out they sell more than tires. I don't know why I would think they only sell tires. It's not like the store is called Canadian Tire. Yeah. How important are tires to you people? You know how people love shopping for tires. We lure them in with the tires. And then, boom, we sell them a blender. Nobody in Canada even sounds like that guy. Of course, there are differences between Canada and America. It's not just healthcare and bacon. Your airport codes make no sense. And I love how you're so proud of them. YW pound sign representing, yeah. We're YW pound sign. It's weird. Toronto YYZ. I don't know why. Well, it makes sense. Y is, why not? And then Y, the second Y is a why are you asking? And then the Z is like, see you later. This guy's a jerk. Of course, Canada's the home of the Caesar cocktail. The Caesar cocktail, you're very proud of that. Which is the Caesar is kind of like a Bloody Mary, but with clam juice. Num 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 num. Clam juice. Wow, I didn't know that was an ingredient or a liquid. You know that thing from the ocean that looks like a snot? What if we made it into a juice? Think about it. Say you just went jogging, all right? You're parched, you're thirsty. I hand you a tall glass of clam juice. You chug it, and then we're ready to go to the club. He has never met a Canadian before. It has nothing to do with. The Caesar was created in Calgary, landlocked Calgary, which has the finest clams. I just love how how Canadians, like, complain about the Bloody Mary. You're like, oh, the Bloody Mary. Oh, that's so disgusting. That drink that doesn't have clam juice in it. They're Hi, thanks for watching. Hit subscribe if you want. If you want to see more stand-up, I have more stand-up, or if you want to see an original show, like Let's Get Cooking or the Mike and Pat Show, that's available on my channel. But also, just know that I'll be posting a new video every day during this pandemic or until the world ends. Please hit subscribe and turn on your alert or notification button. I got to do some international shows this year. I performed in Japan for the first time, which was amazing. I mean, I wasn't in Japan just for stand-up. I was also modeling. Which that wasn't that funny. But the Japanese are just, they're better at being human. Can we admit that? They're more polite, they're better at design. The Japanese toilet, are you familiar with the Japanese toilet? The Japanese took the most disgusting experience of human existence and fixed it. The Japanese toilet washes you, dries you, does your taxes. And that is in a Tokyo airport bathroom. You leave a Japanese public restroom cleaner than when you walked in. You leave an American public restroom with PTSD. Your only thought is, how can I forget that experience? Is there alcohol nearby? The entire time I was in Japan, I felt overweight, probably because I am overweight. But generally, the Japanese are thin. I mean, there are people that are overweight in Japan, but not like in America. We're better at not being thin. Because if you get really fat in Japan, they make you sumo wrestle. They make their fat people fight each other. To entertain the thin people. And the fat people in Japan go along with it. But why am I doing this? It's prestigious. No, you try and push that other fat ass out of the circle. Oh, we try not to giggle. But first, throw in this giant diaper and put your hair in the butt. It's very dignified. But Japanese are quiet and polite. They're like the opposite of my children. I had my kids with me and they were always making loud noises. Occasionally I would catch a Japanese person looking at my poorly behaved kids, and then they would look at me and I'd always say the same thing. We're Canadian. Of course we're not Canadian, but that is what some Americans do when they travel internationally. They tell people they're Canadian, which I think is cowardly. That's why I always tell people I'm North Korean. Then I get the respect I deserve. How much attention does the country of North Korea need at this point? Every 2 days, North Korea is like, we're gonna blow up the world. Isn't there a part of you that's like, then just do it? Get it over with, you spaz. Jim, don't even joke around about that. What if someone from North Korea was in the audience? They have a missile program. It's kind of fun tracking the North Korean missile program, right? They're like, North Korea has missiles that can reach Alaska. Oh my gosh, Alaska? Well, I don't know anyone that lives in Alaska. North Korea has missiles that can reach the West Coast. Oh my gosh, the West Coast. Well, I don't go there that often. North Korea has missiles that can reach the East Coast. Well, we gotta do something about this. Now we're talking about real people. Did some shows in China, all in Chinese, picked it up with the Y. It's not that hard, but it's not complicated. You visit some places and you think, all right, there's a language barrier, but I could get by. In China, I was like, oh, if I got lost, I would die here. I wouldn't last a half a day. Everyone's looking at me like I'm a ghost anyway. The Chinese were very nice. They were fascinated with my pale blonde children. Many of them wanted pictures with my kids. They didn't really ask. They just grabbed a kid. Can I have a picture with this one? I guess you're gonna. And then when they were done with the picture, they would rub my blonde kid's head. Because, you know, they're my kids, but they're also lucky objects. And after this happened a couple times, I was like, hey, we should charge, right? China was fascinating and exhausting. I brought my kids to the Great Wall. We saw the terracotta warriors. We walked through the Forbidden City. We rode in a rickshaw. And when we were leaving, I asked my 5-year-old, I said, what was your favorite part of China? And he said, I like that time we saw the truck with the pigs on it. Because at one point we were stuck in traffic and this truck pulled up and it had pigs in cages. And that was his favorite part. After the 15-hour flight. And I remember when that truck pulled up because I remember looking at those pigs and feeling sorry for them. But those pigs looked happy. It was almost like the pigs were looking at me and my 5 screaming kids going, well, at least we're not that slob. I do enjoy traveling to other countries, seeing how different, but essentially similar we all are. Like the UK is not that different from the US. You know, if anything, you go over there and it seems like British people are trying to be different from Americans. They're like, oh, you drive on the right side of the road, then we're going to drive on the left side of the road. Oh, you call your mother mom, then we're going to call ours mum. Oh, you call that a cookie? Then we're not going to the dentist. I know that's cheap. I did notice something when I was over there. You know, British people, they don't say the before hospital. You ever notice that? They're like, hospital? I was feeling not good, so I went to hospital. Whenever they would do that, I'd say, stop that, that's wrong and weird. Are you trying to sound like a polite caveman? And I had a friend from London, he was like, what makes you think you're doing it properly? And I go, because I'm American and we invented the English language. It was a pet peeve of mine, so I did some research. You know why British people don't say the before hospital? Because they're dicks. I know that sounds harsh, but admit it, British people always talk to Americans like we just walked into their jewelry store with 2 full bags of garbage. Ugh. May I help you? Are you lost? Obviously, I love the Brits, and I would never do those jokes there. I have been lucky enough to perform in the UK a couple times, and one time I was walking through Piccadilly Circus, which for the record is a horrible circus. There's no animals. And no, I was walking through Piccadilly Circus and I saw they had an M&M store. And I looked at that M&M store. It just made me think of all the things the British have given the Americans. Like our language, Shakespeare, the Magna Carta. And I looked at the M&M store and I thought, now we're even. When I looked at the M&M store, I wasn't even embarrassed to be American. I was just shamed to be human. Because has anyone at any point in their life thought, when are they going to open an M&M store? Sure, I can buy M&Ms absolutely anywhere, but I like to buy in bulk in a pro-M&M environment. Obviously, we don't need an M&M store. We don't even need different colored M&Ms. They all taste the same. They're just bits of chocolate shaped like Advil. With an M on it. They're not even M&Ms, they're M's. Hi. Yeah, I'm going to tell him my name. Yeah, I'm going to tell him. I'm not going to tell him to subscribe. Because you know what? That's not what it's about. Oh, there's no more time. Some reading is hard. Someone hands me a legal document. I pass out. I'm like, what do they spray these with chloroform? Whereas the aforementioned, hereby known as proprietor, who wrote this Shakespeare? And why does it take 80 pages to communicate I will owe you money the rest of my life? Whenever I get a legal document, it always has those red post-it notes with the arrows on them. I feel like I'm in a live episode of Dora the Explorer. Where should you sign? Here. You did it. I've never read a legal document. I've signed a couple of them. That's why there's so many lawyers. How much would I have to pay you to read this? $500 an hour? That seems reasonable. Just make sure I'm not giving away a kid or anything. It's laziness. I think you know you're lazy when you find recycling a pain in the ass. I gotta figure out which garbage can to put this in. What am I, a chemist? At home, my wife's always like, did you rinse out that soda can? I haven't showered today. Maybe I should clean myself before I start washing the garbage. Recycling is a little bit more of a pain than they let on. We're going to start recycling newspapers. Oh, great, I got some newspapers right here. Or you're going to have to bundle those up in twine. Twine. Or where to even find twine? I had to go to your hardware store. I'm just not going to read newspapers. Sounds easier than finding twine. What is this, Little House on the Prairie? Maybe next time Pa goes into town to get some feed, You can pick up some twine and rock candy. Twine. I'm sure you like us, we try and do our part and we buy the different colored garbage bags. I just feel weird buying garbage bags because you buy garbage bags, they put them in a grocery bag, you bring your groceries home, you take the garbage bags out of the grocery bag and they put the grocery bag in the garbage bag. Am I being pumped? You're a bit at home, you go to throw something out, you see the garbage can needs a bag. You look at me and think, I ain't gonna wait for someone else to do that. I don't know if I'm done with these orange peels yet. Later on, I might make some potpourri or something. Just put that on the counter. Cover the paper towel. It's like I was never here. My wife stopped buying paper towels. They're bad for the environment, which surprised me. I guess we should know paper towels are bad for the environment. They do have a lumberjack on the label. The guys always stand there like, let's destroy the ozone together. I'll clear cut this forest. You drive an SUV. If you look closely, under one arm, he's smothering an owl. That brawny guy's gonna kick his ass. Obviously, we all care about the environment. Some of those people that are throwing full bags of garbage out on the highway. You ever been driving down the highway and see a full bag of garbage? Wouldn't you love to meet that guy? I'm too lazy to empty my garbage. He's taking his for a ride. What's going on in the car? Hide our garbage. You're getting our hair. You're not talking your walk at. That joke didn't even make sense. My wife's into the organic products. I didn't know this. Organic is a grocery term meaning twice as expensive. She bought me a natural deodorant and printed on the label it said, does not work. You're still being honest. Better than no deodorant. You know, we all have that friend that's like, you really don't need to wear deodorant. Yeah, but you do. Well, it's not natural. Well, neither is crapping indoors. Bad for me to wear deodorant. I'm suffering from some secondhand BO right now. I think it's interesting all the different scents they have for deodorant. You know what scent they should have is bacon. Talk about getting someone to crave you. I don't know why, but I want to have breakfast with him. I bought some Speed Stick. It's interesting about Speed Stick, it actually smells worse than BO. What's that made out of? Urinal cakes. You ever wear a different deodorant than normal? For the rest of the day, doesn't it seem like there's a stranger standing behind you? Am I being followed by a pine tree? I'm glad I'm wearing a button-up shirt. I've yet to figure out how to put on deodorant and then put on a t-shirt without getting a spot here, or the middle of my back. What was I wrestling at? I got my ass kicked by my deodorant. Went to the drugstore. They sell everything in drugstores. I remember when it's just like drugs and deodorant. Now you're like, well, I got this cholesterol medication. I guess I'll get some ice cream. King-size Snickers, then that casket. It's an interesting dynamic in the drugstore, right? Because there's the people that work on the drugstore floor that always seem like they want to quit or kill themselves. And then there's the pharmacist in the back in that glass cage and a white lab coat like the wizard. In commercials, the pharmacist is always the nicest guy on earth. Hey, how you doing? This prescription's on me. In reality, doesn't it always seem like you're inconveniencing the pharmacist? They're always like, what do you want? I was working on my time machine. I need these pills. Yeah, it's going to be like 5 hours. Why don't you go and sit on that metal chair across from the condoms? You ever sit on that metal chair? It's humiliating. It was like, yeah, what kind of disease does he have? I got a lot of just hanging out with the condoms. I don't understand what the wait's for. Why does it take 5 hours to put 6 pills in an orange cup? What are they trying to hit it from like 10 feet away? Tell him to come back. Now you know I'm a pharmacist, not a basketball player. I'm actually winded from doing that. He was out of shape. I should work out. It's hard to find time to work out when you really don't want to. I can't do it now because I don't want to. And later on, I'm not going to be interested. It only takes 20 minutes a day, just 20 minutes. Yeah, it's too many. Can you make it no minutes? Those workout clothes are comfortable to watch television in, huh? Thanks to Nike, I think I'll finish this Law & Order marathon. I do belong to a health club. I see that membership card every time I'm at Wendy's getting a triple. I think those membership cards are kind of scary because obviously they exist because at one time there were people sneaking in to work out. That's like breaking into the Gap to fold sweaters. That was cute. Hi, thanks for watching. Hit subscribe if you want. If you want to see more stand-up, I have more stand-up, or if you want to see an original show, like Let's Get Cooking or the Mike and Pat Show, that's available on my channel. But also, just know that I'll be posting a new video every day during this pandemic, or until the world ends. Please hit subscribe and turn on your alert or notification button. By the way, this is all prosthetic. After the show it comes off, I just air it out. It's like, I feel so free when I get it off. You know what I mean? It's getting harder and harder to motivate to exercise. In your 20s, you're like, I want to be with someone physically fit, so I'll be physically fit. And then your 30s, you're like, I want to fight off aging. And then your 40s, you're like, it's over. And now I'm at the point where I look at morbidly obese people and I'm like, they seem happy. That's one way to live a life. I used to exercise to lose weight. Now I exercise so I can continue to fit in cars. Still a fitness goal. I've been in better shape in my life. I go in and out, it's been a while, not last year, but the year before. My big accomplishment is I ran the New York City Marathon. Thank you. Thank you. Half you're like, no you did. I did, you bastards. Alright? I ran and completed. Alright, fine, I didn't. But I thought about it. Which I guess is technically different than running it. Turns out I couldn't run the New York City Marathon because I didn't want to. Which is the main reason I don't do a lot of things. I just rarely admit it. It's like, hey Jim, why aren't you going to my birthday party? I didn't want to. We never really reply to invitations that way. Don't want to go. Completely available, just not interesting. Really wish I wasn't there, so I won't be. I know people who have run the New York City Marathon. They always bring it up to like, yeah, I ran the New York City Marathon. I was asked, did you win? No, but I finished. What place you come in? I don't know. Sounds like you came in last. Really, what you're saying is you lost the New York City Marathon. If I were you, I wouldn't bring that up. But that's why some people run marathons, so that they can say, I ran a marathon, which to me is not a good enough reason. Heck, I can say I ran a marathon. In fact, earlier I did. Didn't feel good, it felt dishonest. I guess what I'm trying to say is marathon runners are liars. All of them. It's too far, it's way too far. 26.2 miles, that's too far to run, jog, or frankly drive. Let's be serious. But you know what? I'm not a runner. Half of you are like, we never thought you were. At this point, we're not sure if you're a walker. But running is huge, right? There are stores just for runners. There's magazines dedicated to running. Runner's World, a magazine all about running. And if you thought running was boring, wait till you read about running. At this point, is there any information we don't have on running? You're supposed to use your arms when you run. Right, what? I think I've been running backwards. No wonder I keep losing. The runner's high, I'm sure that's not a myth. Let me get this right. You're confusing exhaustion for high? Have you ever been high before? Yeah. How can you confuse I can't breathe with joy? The runner's high. Has anyone ever used that as an excuse? Sorry, I ate all the chips. Runner's high. I ran a 10K in high school. I think I'm still high. But there's running, and then there's running a marathon. You know you have to pay to run a marathon? What? For the New York City Marathon, you have to pay $250 to run by yourself. 26 miles. That's some S&M stuff there. That's like the subplot of a Law & Order Special Victims Unit. You gotta pay that up front. It's not like there's like a toll system like 13-mile hammer. What is this, a chip reader? You ever see the beginning of a marathon? All the runners line up in their voluntary prison number. Then someone shoots a gun, red flag. And the runners disperse like Godzilla's approaching. Ah! Why is there a weapon involved in a foot race? Whatever happened to someone saying, go? All right, let's review how we're going to start the marathon. We'll get all the lemmings lined up there, and then without any warning, Cooter will shoot his 357. In the air this time, Cooter. Then we'll just sit back, count the money, and watch some of them soil themselves. You ever see the winner of a marathon? They do not look healthy. They look like they were forced to run a marathon. There was some negotiation as part of ransom. I finished, now can I have my children? I ran 26 miles, I drank my own urine, I'm wearing a tinfoil blanket. What's going on with my kids? Of course, I respect people who run marathons. Heck, I'm impressed by the people who pass out water at marathons. I always look at them like, I couldn't do that. I gotta get up early. Then you gotta find cups. And there's passing out all that water. My arm's just sore thinking about it. At least those people are doing something at the marathon. You ever see the rest of people watching the marathon knowing, what is going on in your life? If you're watching strangers run a marathon, I suppose some of them are there supporting friends. You know, I wouldn't want that. I don't even want someone to see me in a hurry. That seems like a big request of a friend, right? Or, hey, can you watch me run 26 miles? Only take your entire Sunday. You can only watch someone run part of a marathon. It's not that big of a commitment. It's like, you could do it, you could do it. All right, I'm going to brunch. But you can watch someone run a marathon. You can't go into a health club and watch someone on a treadmill. Excuse me, sir, what are you doing? I'm supporting that lady. Do you know her? Not yet. But I brought her this lock for the bridge. That's all, babe. Thank you very much. So far, thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Hi, I'm Jim Gaffigan. Now I wanted to just thank you for watching that video. It just makes me giddy. I mean, not giddy, but makes me happy. And frankly, I don't have much more time on this planet. And I guess if there's anything else I'd want, would be if you would subscribe, but you don't have to do it. I know you're busy. You know, you're cool. You've got other videos to watch, but if you hit subscribe, I don't know, maybe I'll have the willpower to pull it out. That sounded dirty.